Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Gullig Budai, the Black Chester. Black Chester Matters, episode 32. Sort of a special one, which I will go back to another subject that will be throttled indefinitely, no doubt. See, the issue people have... So I got a video here, which I have actually proven with a friend of mine. I've done it a few times, but this time I actually got him to got one to, because I did get one to actually do a screenshot where it says, if you under that line there, no views while he was there. Now, that was after months of people going to that thing, and only more of them actually did screenshots and stuff like that before and after and stuff. But a lot of people I send go there. You might notice this too in this video. You know, some other videos we see it says 5 visitors. You go on and there's still 5 visitors. It seems to be a common practice. I think it seems to be more my playlist there. But the Black Chester Matters YouTube listing. You can't search for specific topics under Black Chester Matters. Like if you type Black Chester Matters, you'll find 4 videos and that's it. And Black Chester Matters, you will find, if you add a topic like fentanyl, you'll find nothing. I think they probably still target certain, they will target, I think they still throttle a lot of fentanyl in China, critical videos on the side, people who are as well. This is throttling, shadow banning, and I would call it also visit shaving. I don't know. I noticed this recently because, well, if it was like one visitor for a long time, I probably would have just went whatever. But and if no one told me, or people, I didn't know people were going there. I mean, my website has traffic and more than the social media does, and so that usually. But like blackchester.com and Huffing Glue Post, blackchester.com, Huffing Glue Post, things like that. They all have better traffic than my social. Well, than my follows and stuff like that. I wouldn't say that social media. A lot of people will read it and not join too, even there, and not subscribe and stuff like that. Much more appreciate seeing more views than I do seeing subscriptions. Although it's probably wise to try and do it anyway, and take videos of trying to subscribe and not being able to, or trying to comment and not being able to. Because that was another thing this guy mentioned. He couldn't comment, which is interesting. I saw a comment field, but that's the thing. And this is where I criticize China and the fentanyl. Now, the last video has up to 20 because I pretty much, that's the whole slew, but still less than people who actually went. At least by their word, and there's no reason to lie. Originally, it was also slowing down, but this thing was months before. It wasn't even shaved. It was being blocked until recent from even counting them. And it's a Pooh Bear handing out a baggie of stuff on the cover. But it's, and that's well, the facts speak for themselves. YouTube is protecting China. Now I'll go to this next one, Exhibit B. By the way, maybe unusual that I'm on a chair, but I'm rather proud of this. This is from the Ed Gaines Taxidermy and upholstery shop. It's worth going checking out. Anyway, if you don't know where Gaines is, yeah. I guess you'll enjoy that. But I also suggest taking these and dropping them in water and stuff like that. Because I don't get paid to tell you about the brand or anything, but in this disease-filled era, this period of trouble, good to have your vitamin C up. And a little crook and rum, half a finger a day wouldn't hurt either. Or whole finger. But most bartenders usually have have thinner fingers and smaller fingers than I do. Yeah. But right here we got here. This is the Shanghai Media Group. Never went there before. But apparently I am such an arch nemesis of China that they had my IP banned before I even visited the damn website. Ain't that weird, huh? China knows who I am, and I'm on a shit list. But it's funny. Some people went to my site via Baidu.com, which is their Google version. Their Google there. Google says they're chased out, but Google has an interest in Baidu. I remember I used to submit my website to that a lot. I guess it was still on their databases, and people are going from China to see my ideas and jokes and stuff. So I'm seeing those references on my log files. That's interesting. Very. They're going to be in trouble with the social credit, though, and possibly charged or something if they get caught, but whoever they are. Sometimes. Do try and follow, subscribe, and all that other stuff on all these social media platforms. Even if China is trying to keep you from seeing the truth or whatever they're afraid you'll see. I should have set that up before. But yeah, that's so yeah. And this talk of this virus called Corona. Oh. That's some amusement over there. And this is okay. We got what I call China now, the NSA country. Let's go to the COVID factor. Seems to be a few waves which I'll discuss in a minute. Of China's conquest of the planet. And what we're looking at here is the story Tim Pool covered, U.S. casualties of martial law and stuff. Rand Paul comes up on this whole thing. And it seems like there may be specific targets that this coronavirus was hoping to get. It was hopeful to get. And it could be like a scattershot assassination, which means like if you shoot 5 people and only one of them is your target, but it looks like a mass murder, not a targeted assassination. It could also be used by any. Well, I think only an assassin would really go on a very low on that. But anyway, state assassins and stuff like that. So yeah, like if let's say no specific school, but a government official, someone of influence, has to be put on notice, and they threaten their children. They have a school shooting done, and one of those kids are related to a person of influence in this area, or it might be the nephew, son, or whatever. And certain people would take out a whole school of people just to get just to make a point to that one individual. It's true. The way people would inflict death on people. Well, look at war. I mean, war is somewhat like that too. But a lot of the time it is just to make a point, mass murder, just to make a point to one individual. I don't know why Bin Laden would give a fuck about Iraq, but fine. Oh, isn't that great, huh? You know, yeah, I forget to mention media and this whole other thing, this in the same map here. But there are multiple phases. I guess the first phase was actually the media. And what I mean is the multimedia, the entertainment factor of the media. The fact is infiltrating and influencing the media, and this would be through groups like the Shanghai Media Group, which has influenced Doctor Who, bought into Doctor Who, and has been a part of the subsequent emasculation of the character, in which I get Hinchcliffe and Day confused sometimes, so I call him Peter Hinchcliffe, Philip Hinchcliffe. One said regarding the Morbius, the Doctor he didn't want to emasculate the story. But here's the thing: China was through Tencent or Shanghai Media Group. What they want to do is they want to emasculate the West, which means they don't want sexually ambiguous or bisexual, gay, lesbian, or transsexual characters that are Asian, because they don't want they don't want their people emasculated, and they view this as an emasculation. They also don't want gender swaps in that sort of area. What they do want are gender swaps and racial swaps and stuff like that of black, Caucasians, male and to female, or just black kid. They're experimenting, I suppose, with the black-white swap, but the only time there was one Asian swap to white, and I'll bring this up, especially it's Doctor Strange. Turned into a white woman. Now that's because it was a Tibetan character. And now Tibet they would want Tibet to be highly emasculated too. But the issue, and I'll say it's kind of wrong here, because I would point out that at Broad they made the Great One and was also a lot whiter than an ancient Celtic would have been. An ancient Celtic is basically an ancient Persian. Now it's possible, because of a ruling class situation, they might be a lighter, fairer-skinned Persian, but these Celtics were Scythians, and these Scythians were the ancient Persians. and even if they were a little lighter, that would at least be a bit tan. It wouldn't be a total albino broad. It's irritating. I can't believe people who badmouth race swap and gender swaps should be called out on Doctor Strange, because a lot of them alibi Doctor Strange. Let's say, well, it's not such a bad thing because I like the movie. You shouldn't allow that sort of inconsistency, because then it just suggests that the whole thing is about, well, we don't like it in this case, and when it's dark, when it's turned darker, not lighter. Anyway, or rounder-eyed. Yeah. So the conquering of the culture by emasculating people through woke policies on various levels that aren't specifically their sort. The next thing would be fentanyl, which is probably the most destructive, and is basically something I covered in that other video, which I'll tag on to the bottom of this as a reference, and audio, of course. There's an audio version too on Podbean, blackchestermatters.com. You can just jump to that now if you want, and pause this and listen to that. I'm thinking of going live on float.app anyway at some point, so we can always discuss these things then. But if you joined float.app, follow me at the Black Jester. We can go from there. It'll be the streams are at /live. It's a streaming app. You can get an app too there's a beta app right now, and it's working pretty well. I don't know if it takes a stream though yet, but it might be worth checking out anyway. If it doesn't, you just go to the browser or something. But they're doing a pretty good job on that, and that's on Apple. And if you go to float.app/float, you can go to the support button, and there it will list some the links where the thing is. Anyway, so what we have here is this is my map of China with the NSA written on it in place with the name China. And I, of course, make it all red. So the fentanyl is an important wave of destruction in our society. Now we think, okay, only the homeless are dying of it. No, not only the homeless. We have to understand that a lot of bored parents, a lot of rich parents are terrible parents, and middle-class parents even, and so on. And generally speaking, there are a lot of people in a lot of classes that are looking for pain relief, and some cultures, if you go to Canada, palliative care is very hard to get. So people get desperate, they hit the streets. So even for legitimate reasons, they will go and try to get pain relievers, because the government, your doctor can't bother. They turn doctors into bureaucrats in Canada and places like that, and they have to file out this form saying it's right. I mean, even the DEA might have policies about it. But it's a huge bureaucratic process to get the pills, if you get the pills, and some doctors don't even want to bother with palliative care because of that. And in BC, palliative care in Delta is being eliminated because they refuse to they refuse to murder their patients, or have a assisted suicide doctor or doctor death there. Shit. But yeah, so the fentanyl it's an instant kill drug, basically. It's not just you get a high, you feel pain. It's you feel no pain anymore because this version of an opioid that China makes kills your fucking ass. It doesn't give you time to reconsider doing it again. It doesn't give you time to that's the most insidious part, because if you make mistakes with any drug other than that, like heroin or whatever, you will always have the chance to redeem yourself and fix yourself up and get better and not abuse it and things like that. And you can be functional. You can even become a functional user and stuff like that. It's things like that are of great importance. That sort of factor is important. And the fact is, fentanyl is an instant death drug. It kills you right away. Not if you're lucky, you have a good enough metabolism. Even though the first time might hit you the second time, but you won't have enough time to quit. That's for sure. It is a very insidious drug. Well, a chemical poison, and China has flooded the Western world with it. Some good videos, clips of Rogan and this guy talking about it. I might put it on the description. So yeah, I guess that'll be the second wave. Then you got the third wave. We all seen that. It's Corona. They're perpetuating Corona to the world. And that's only because they have had trouble inflicting their final wave so far. 5G. Now the other thing upset at Corona is a lot of our countries might be a little I do love rose hip tea. Oh, it's terrific. 5G. Now, they're already been trying to set up for 5G. They do it with 4G towers and stuff like that. They're turning people they're turning social housing structures and stuff like that into basic cell phone towers. They're not putting cell phone towers on it. They make it the cell phone tower. People have been reporting that they've been drunk and they've been drinking. Drunk? What am I saying? Sorry. So there's a shift in my thought process. So. I kind of did this video a little bit late, so I'm a little off on my game. Yeah, so what we have, a lot of cell towers are being, a lot of cell towers are being built. Well, a lot of these social housing programs, these poor housing situations, are really just being there to hang this tinsel on the side of the wall, which brings in and out the cell signals and stuff like that. Well, that's actually, they use it for other things like 4G, not LTE that I use. And I recommend using an LTE phone. Don't use any of the G phones. But 5G is a especially insidious thing because it's not even associated with the speed and power. It's actually, it's like having an Echelon signal out there in the open. Now, if you know what Echelon is, Echelon was an NSA spying technology. Probably pretty primitive to this 5G shit. And it was based somewhere in England, I think. They put up a tower or something like that to basically invade the minds of people and F them up, using their phantom touch sense and things like that. They also had the RATS scan, the rats scan. as well. But Echelon's probably the most well known. If you look up Jim K. Aquai, maybe I can find that and post that on there. Um, yeah, so he actually caught the people who were spying on him and charged the NSA in a trial. It's not totally impossible to get those bastards. That was a domestic spying matter and ruined his life very much. But China is. It seems like China is working with the NSA to do all this. I don't know. It does seem that way because it seems a lot like their MOs. It's like their MOs were kind of the same. I got it. PNP. I'll start to check. I'm going to pause this for a minute. Well, if the audio is screeching at you, you'll have to watch the video because I just realized maybe the camera thing is working on the audio recording. Hopefully not. Anyway, I didn't check a lot of stuff because I was in a rush to get this done. So that's what we have here. Well, it's a huge problem. And this 5G is going to this whole disease may actually turn enough people in China to stop Hawaii and Chinese government and possibly NSA from spreading their 5G airwaves around, causing harm to the most marginalized people and marginalizing even more people. Basically, 5G is a mass spread of the surveillance state. What else would be in China, of all places, right now? It's the best place to try it out. It's the best place to try out such a surveillance-related thing. I kind of wonder about China, too. Do they give out free computers and cell phones to people out there so they can track their populace? I don't know that much on that level. Because it seems that people are more interested in Chinese markets because they have got more electronic connection or something. I think they'd be more interested in Finland then, too, though. No, not Finland. Is it Finland? Yes, it's Finland has had the most cell phones, with Nokia and stuff like that. But I guess Hawaii is the new Nokia. But yeah, it's an insidious danger. People are going to start feeling sick because of it. And people are going to get their brains, they're going to be haunted basically by the whole thing. As it is, some of us are rather signal sensitive, and can even hear the power lines. This is a problem, and I'm sure the count on this will be shaven, at least on YouTube. I don't know about other places. Oddly enough, by the way, Brighteon actually refused to post my last video because of the title, which makes it unique in social media. Brighteon is the only one to do that. But they haven't done anything because of China criticism. But I don't know. Maybe they do throttle numbers too. I don't know. But you can check me out on Brighteon as well and all these other things. It's good to have these backup places. You can join it and follow people on all the platforms just in case. So if for one reason you can't see the video on one place or the audio on one place, I should probably post more on audio on different places. I have one thing posted audio successfully on ThinkSpot, but what happened was they stopped using the audio file I do anyway. I used before the audio file type. Again, that I was using. They had it once, and then I took it off. I don't know. Do most use an MP3? Podbean doesn't use MP3 though. That's for sure. And that's what I use primarily for the audio, or maybe exclusively. But anyway, as far as video goes, you can if you go to go Brighteon, BitChute, as well as YouTube, even YouTube, because you never know. YouTube might become better, and the others might become worse. We don't know, right? It's just be good to be able to switch to make sure we can spot it. And sometimes it can be satisfying just to make YouTube know that you're interested in something they don't want you interested in. It could be a little satisfying being in the enemy territory and making them uncomfortable, I guess. Certainly work better than a boycott. I would rather boycott their stock because that's more effective. If you want to boycott something and you're in a position to invest, do that with investment. Try to support alternatives like Brighteon. I mean, Brighteon's complicated for me because it's an irritating process trying to buy cryptocurrency. It is. It's an irritating process. One had like because of European rules, it was like required phone and email verification, then the photo. And at that point, I just, oh, fuck you. Crypto's a pain in the ass. It really is. I mean, some people don't mind that pain in the ass stuff, but frankly, it's kind of a jail to handle. I accept it, but I don't want to go get it. I just want to buy it. I'll accept it, but I just want to buy it. I'd rather cash it out if I can, but even that's probably a pain in the ass too. But I don't see why regular banks can't just take it and exchange it themselves. It seems do through my own bank account. Seems like reasonable. It's not replacing any legal tender or anything. It doesn't even have notes. But it is somewhat something you've put money into and other people put money into, and it has a certain valuing system. It was a nice idea, but it's just not realistic in many ways. Also, most people don't have the computers and stuff and cell phones and stuff like that for it. At least a lot of people don't. So really, you'd end up shutting a lot of people out of the market because they choose to live a little more low tech and stuff like that. And you know what else China has? It has most of the coin mining. Yeah. Most of the cryptocurrency is happening in China. Cryptocurrency mining is happening in China. And farming and stuff like that. So basically, you're probably better off with the Fed than you are with Bitcoin and stuff like that, because to a lesser extent, at least right now, China ain't the boss. It might be a bit of a struggle, but less so than this Bitcoin stuff. Basically trying to destroy the value of Bitcoin in a second. Now correct me if I'm wrong on the comments section if you can get it open. Well, that's the issue here. China is YouTube is actively helping China right now. Hopefully they can open up their hearts to opposing this communist piece of shit, but or possibly national security agency piece of shit. And that's that. You know, it's funny that out of all the political officials that get the coronavirus, it's Ron Paul. Isn't that just a little weird? How the most libertarian senator gets the disease. Also find it funny, there's no story about Chinese officials getting it. High-level Chinese officials getting it. Major presidential candidates aren't getting it. And they're all in the demographic. Why aren't they sick? I do suspect that Biden is a android. I do suspect that. And a replacement android from when he died. Or, I don't know, whatever. But, and it's not working so well, so it's just the gaff and it's just walking off of direction with solenoids start running down. They're like magnetic things that. Anyway, it's almost like certain people have the cure, and certain people didn't get the cure. It's like some of these Iranians too, that Iranian officials that got it, obviously didn't get this cure either, or whatever, resistance, or anything like that. Or there's just a lot of lies about who got it and didn't get it, or they focus on who got it and who didn't get it. But it does seem funny, doesn't it? I mean, he had that. He got attacked by his neighbor, so Rand was vulnerable from the surgery and stuff he had, I guess. And he's probably still recovering to an extent, but there are a lot more unhealthy senators out there, and older ones. And that's just funny. Ain't it? Do go to the teespring.com store in the descriptions, unless you'll end up supporting this blather, but you also get a chance to get something out of it. I mean, you can get everything from a shirt with my lockout note appeal on for Twitter on the shirt. You can, this cartoon, a few other cartoons. There is an Easter line coming, or Easter line there, stuff like that. So I mean, you give for your friends, family. If you saw a Gap post way back, you probably have a code, special discount code on Twitter too. You can probably find it. Discount code, even on Facebook and Orbis and on a few of those places. If you see the bunny picture or recent link to the thing. Could always add a special code for this video, and I might just do that, video and audio, and I just might do that. Might be different on different platforms, who knows. It allows me to do that sort of thing. Check the description and stuff like that, and if you want, donate, fine. I don't like to pressure or push. I still have to do a video for that subscribe star thing. The black gesture on subscribe star, but I'm not big on. I don't want to push anyone who's got money issues and stuff like that. It's not the best times and stuff like that. And I understand. I'm there a lot and myself. Fortunately, it makes it harder to do this stuff, and if it's not lucrative enough. But I'm guessing the way YouTube has already preemptively reacted to my existence, I won't ever reach the. It's weird because I got a perfect record in YouTube according to the stats, but there's this underhanded level of it. Yeah, and the BitChute ad system isn't exactly spread out much either. But if there are more people subscribing and joining and spreading the news about the BitChute thing, I'm sure that will happen too. But now, I mean, it's kind of good. You're not getting ads. I'm not shilling for anyone in particular. Or not. There's so many things I can't even see. I've seen people do ads like for game apps and stuff I would never even play. So I wouldn't even be able to do that stuff. Ridge wallets. I don't even use a wallet. I like to have it. It's a lot more complicated. It's so much easier to steal from people who have all their stuff organized like that. I mean, I just try to feel in my pocket for something right and grab it. I'm very tight in too. I mean, it's probably why I'm healthy still, because I'm not very huggy either. I don't get close to people on that level. Yeah, that's that's why they don't. It's weird that people don't often notice that Italy is one of those countries where it's not a matter of staying between 6 feet of people or 2 feet of people. The Vancouver mayor is getting so fucking totalitarian about shit now. But Italy, they get really close to each other and kiss each other in the cheek and hug a lot. Oh, I can't do that. I don't believe in hugging until you're married. That's just too close, man. That's too. I got a lot of hugs when I was a kid. That's the thing, I guess. I'm not so big on the hug, but but I want a little submissive before I start hugging anybody. I mean, the family blood is blood, so I guess kind of do that stuff. But even there, limited. You grow up, that sort of thing. It was a family thing to do, really. So yeah, anything else? get on all my social media and follows and subscriptions and stuff like that, and liking pages and stuff like that. And then donate if you want. Share everything. Share everything everywhere, wherever you're posted, even Mastodon. Although they'll probably try to take things down on Mastodon. Although who knows? I can't believe people use Mastodon. Very, very pro censorship Mastodon's creator. But yeah, which is weird. The Libertarian Party has a account there, but not on Gab. It's kind of weird. Oh, and do support Mark Whitney for president. Go to, and I'll put the description down there on the. I'll put the put a link to him on his site on the description too, because gotta get the word out. He's a libertarian. He's seeking the libertarian nomination, and he, in my perspective, is the best guy to run against Trump. Best guy to hit a debate and defeat the Democrats and making the Libertarian Party the second party. And I think that would be a very good, bold move forward. I really do believe. I think a lot of them, even Vermin Supreme and Armstrong and stuff like that, they could possibly get second party status. But I have most of my confidence is in Whitney. He's a good guy. He seems to have a much better grasp of reality, current time period reality, than a lot of them. A lot of them are just repeating the standard the standard commentary type platitude and notions. Dealing with the government and deconstructing it is a very tactical thing. You can't just end it. It just doesn't work that way. I mean, especially when you got protections like the Bill of Rights and stuff like that. The moment you end it, you end that too, and the liberties of individuals are no longer protected. Free speech is no longer a guarantee. The rabbles will take over, stuff like that. I mean, rabbles of all kinds, whether they're racist or they're Sovietistic or whatever, they're all just trying to wait for America to go anarchist so they can start taking over their territories and violating rights anyway. And any rabble is a state, in my view. So if you got if you're taking over a college campus, or you're Antifa, or you're whatever, and things like that, you are a rabble, you are a state, you are an authority of the masses, basically. You're an authority of a majority trying to beat down using mob rule against an individual, or a few individuals that differ from you, and that's a state. YouTube is a state. It's a collective organization designed gaining funds collectively through the investment system, which is why if you're doing business with a public company, you can't boycott a public company unless you boycott their stock. That's the only way to work. But back to this. So technically speaking, all rabbles have an ability to violate rights or not, and they are still a state. They're a collective group trying to influence over an individual and violate the rights of the individual. Rights are for the individual, not the collective. They're not for corporations. They're not for unions, power groups of various kinds. They're not for the government or the people who run any of these things. They are for the individual, to protect the individual from such a violation of rights by a rabble of any kind, government or private. I wouldn't call it private if it's a collective group, though. I wouldn't, because it's still based on some sort of social or anti-social contract. So it's still a rabble, unless it's like some sort of family scenario. But even that's like a plural association, plural marital situations or contractual agreements. But even there, I mean, a family cannot supersede an individual's rights. So in my view, that even if you're a family, whether it's with a plural marriage, or polyamorous, or fully monogamous, that is not a that is a rabble that can still supersede an individual who lives singly, who is a single guy or gal, and that's the problem too, because what do we have? We got forced marriage in places. We have forced marriage, which is called common law, and we got people doing things for the family. We got this $3,000 check for families of 4. We got this over the coronavirus. We got the that's the part of the plan in this stimulus package. Stimulus package just means they're going to waste more money, make the civil service real happy. Civil service, another collective army, there to take rights away from you, the individual. Now, I'm not saying, like, with a family, individuals can't get along in a benevolent scenario or an agreeable scenario through a contract or whatever. But the moment they start deciding, well, I'm a married man, I'm a father of 2 or whatever, I have more rights than an individual who lives single. And that was my biggest problem with the gay marriage thing. What about the single person? What about the gay guy who wants to be single? What about the bi guy who wants to be single? What about the gay woman who wants to be single? What about the straight guy who wants to be single? What about the people who want to be single? Marriage isn't a government function. Filing papers about it might be, but it's an ancient religious practice, essentially. The contract thing isn't. That's a whole other story. That's a secular contract. Fine, do it that way. If you can't find a religion with a theology that practices the marriage of your choice. But it goes all the way back to Zarathustra, who first initiated the man-woman dynamic. It's true. And the rice throwing, too, apparently. Zarathustra was like 14,000 years ago or something. And then later on, Jesus started speaking about man and woman and stuff like that. I don't know what... I'm not too up on what the Talmud and Quran say specifically about it, but as far as I understand, but those religions are not too fond of non-breeding pairs getting marriage. But I don't believe in marriage benefits because that at all. I believe that violates the rights of the individual because it decides that the single person is not as valuable as the married person. And that's wrong. And I say single people, stand up for yourself. Tell them you're not going to take this shit. Tell them you want to end marriage benefits and marriage penalties. There shouldn't be penalties for it either. Demo probably should end divorce. Make sure people know ahead of time that there's no ending this. You get into it, it's like this forever. Because, I don't think anything really destroyed this world more than people getting divorced. And you know why? Because lawyers run government. That's why. So they create all the state marriage rules, and then they add people who can do it, and then because that means their friends who are divorce lawyers, or themselves who are divorce lawyers when they're out of Congress or whatever, have written themselves a paycheck practicing law. That's why you can't let lawyers be lawmakers, or even sign laws, for that matter, as chief executives. In the courts, sure, but that's where they belong, isn't it? The courts. Anyway, have a good night, morning, afternoon, whatever. And this is the Black Jester Matters podcast, and I guess tube experiment. I hope you enjoyed yourself. Later.